It's the first of 2020. We are behind on this again. We got a good rhythm. We got a good rhythm, and now that everything's kind of set for 2020, everything's in line for us to be able to start paying attention to the stuff that was routine and towards the end of 19. But there's a couple of weeks where we were scrambling, just getting ready for the new year.
Most of the people I talked to said the same thing, and it was that just the holidays were so packed in and so close together that it was weird or last year, I should say.
Oh, because you're saying the Thanksgiving and Christmas were so close.
Yes, they were like on top of each other.
If you roll up any type of social events or, all the family stuff that transpires within that 2 to 3 week time frame, and then you factor in the end of the year, so.
And it was strange last year having holidays in the middle of the week. So you'd kind of get your weekly rhythm going. Then it was like, oh, wait a minute. It's Christmas Eve. Okay, so we got to pack, get ready to do family stuff. Oh, wait, it's Christmas Day.
Well, how about you had work days in between them all because it was split week?
So weird. Just weird.
It's so New Year's, and a lot of times as we're watching gyms start to scramble. So typically the last week of December, first week of January is when a lot of people start thinking about the idea of kicking all the bad habits that they picked up over the holidays. Our position in the gym market is that we wait until about the third or fourth week.
Yep.
So third and fourth are when people start to realize that whatever they chose isn't working, because it was more a promotional opportunity, or the trainers of the gyms, they're not bringing anything different to bear. You're just going somewhere and doing something different. And that mindset, I think people are thinking, if I just start to work out at the gym, I'll start to see results. But now it's just not happening. So we're there for the second wave, and that's what we're heading into. And we just launched, we talked about it on the last podcast, I think, the 100-Day Mind, Body, and Soul Project. Mm-hmm. And within these programs, we always try to find things that are the most accepted and the easiest to follow for our clients, whether they're the inline or the in-person or the online. The obstacle being, because every person is different, the solutions that we put together, they'll work for a broad spectrum.
Right.
A majority of people will find results, especially that first 8 to 12 week window. Everything's great.
Exactly.
But we're always looking for something that more people can assimilate into their lives without upheaval at home and without having to really split atoms to understand how to do things.
Yep.
So the 100-Day Mind, Body, and Soul Project, we launched a program that's going to cover everything for the first 100 days of a new client. And then we invited our entire gym to participate as a new client for the 100 days.
Right.
And one of the conversations that we had this weekend when we did the big talk, we chatted for about 2 hours with everybody, and then the Q&A afterwards. And it's a new concept to a lot of people because they don't, some have never done a diet, and some have never done this type of a program, and some have never counted calories, and they don't know what a macro is. And the education piece, we try to reduce the learning curve, but the one standout is the food list.
Yeah.
And we put together foods that are specific to help people reduce inflammation, find energy throughout the day, and then rebuild while they're training. And some people don't understand what the limitations are for.
Exactly. Yep. It's funny, some of the questions that you get, and I think you and I have been in this for so long that we almost don't guess or try to figure out what something is until we've tried it for a little while. So we've tried pretty much every nutrition, strategy, plan, diet on the market just to see what our bodies would do. But I think we go in almost like, let's trust the process from day one, and then let's see what happens over the next few weeks. And a lot of adults, it's funny, I think they would be just like us, but we live this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So some of the funny questions, it's like, well, why isn't this on the list? And why isn't this? And I think the most fun part of when you put somebody on a nutrition plan are the questions they have, because it lets you revisit the ones we probably had 10, 15,
when we started,
goodness, almost 20 years ago.
The idea of a list, and because every client is different, we try to put together a food list that will make most people happy.
Yes.
And I used to take a very ridiculous hard line against dairy. I still do personally.
Oh, yeah.
But when it comes to people saying, well, why Greek yogurt and not dairy?
Right.
Why dairy and not cheese? Or why Greek yogurt and not cheese? And they're trying to piece together, because all people become CSI investigators when it comes time to eat, right? And they're looking at nutrition, and they'll start rationalizing and arguing and defending and, repelling. And everyone's got this new thing when you can watch their wheels start spinning when they realize somebody's putting something on me that makes me uncomfortable and I don't want to do it.
Yes.
Because most of us have got that one food or that one snack or that one routine that means a lot to us. And it's...
Oh, yeah. It's like, if you take it from me, I'm going to stab you.
Right. So it's like, why isn't almond milk on this list? I'd have an almond milk latte every day and you took it away. Can you justify it?
Yes.
And the almond milk conversation comes up a lot because everyone just assumes that almond milk is a healthy choice because it's not dairy.
Yep.
And it's not that almond milk is the antithesis of dairy. That's not it. It's almond milk is a nice substitute if you're doing a lot of milk things.
Correct.
And let's say you're trying to transition your kids out of cereal and milk and into cereal and something else.
Yeah.
And drinking almond milk doesn't make you lean. Drinking almond milk doesn't give you a big boost of protein. There's no point to it except it's faux milk. It's got nothing else. There's no value to it whatsoever except you can put it in things and pretend it's milk. But other than that, it's garbage.
Right.
And it's not Silk, but the other one, the one that's actually called Almond.
I think it's like Almond Dream, or I almost said Almond Joy.
That's what I thought too. I think I subliminally made you think that.
I think it's whatever
Almond
it is.
Breeze.
Almond Breeze.
Breeze. And it had no almonds in it.
Yeah.
And that was a big taboo. So Silk's credibility went through the roof.
Right.
But when you get into the food lists, and we're giving people guidance. So FODMAP, most people don't know what that is, and they've never heard of it.
Right.
Pro-inflammatory foods, things that are processed, lots of meat, it's not great for the body. We want high protein with minimal fat source. And we want, if there's going to be carbohydrates, it needs to be more fibrous, colorful vegetables, and some starchy carbs.
Right.
But this list gets put together, and people start to argue and buck and push. And our 100 days, we anticipated at least 5 to 10 days of people just getting their rhythm.
And I think that's totally normal. I literally just had that conversation with somebody today who's a personality that wants to get, wants to get the A+ right away.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, totally chill. I'm super excited that you really want to get a head start on this, but nobody gets it right in the first week. There's still like that funny thing that's like, oops, I ate this and I, quote unquote, shouldn't have done it. And it's like, just every day, try to be better than you were the day before that first week. And then find your rhythm and go like, you know what? This list is going to be my life.
You're much more tolerant than I am, because I would be like, you've got 3 to 5 days to un-F yourself.
I think you do like 24 hours.
Well, there's a list. And the funny thing, and the reason we had to put a list together, is we would do just blanket statements of like, hey, no dairy. But people didn't call cheese dairy.
Right.
They called cheese, and it wasn't part of the dairy family.
Yes.
We would say no dairy, and when eggs were cool, they're like, well, I thought you said no dairy. I'm eating eggs. It's like, eggs it's not dairy, it's chicken.
I have never understood that.
Because it's beside the milk in the dairy section. I have no idea.
It's my absolute favorite thing. And then I get in my mind the image of a cow laying an egg.
Laying an egg. And somehow it'd be in dairy. It's a dairy source. But when we get to the list, and why it was relevant to kind of talk about today, was a lot of times it's people in their routines that end up causing problems. And
Absolutely.
The list itself begins the process of breaking routines and habits. And
Exactly.
it's uncomfortable because I've got my things,
Yes.
and I'm happily eating to the bottom of the bags and containers that I have, because that's going to be it for the 100 days.
Exactly.
I know they're running out. When most adults won't eat the right amount of veggies, they don't get the right amount of micronutrients, so they're missing their vitamins and their minerals. And a lot of times the human body, so anything fat soluble, vitamin wise, it stays in your body. It's fat soluble. It's like time released. So you don't have such a big issue with the fat soluble vitamins, but the water soluble, you can lose them every day. Heavy sweater, exercise, type of climate you're in, you can lose those things, so you have to replenish. And if you're a grown adult that only likes one vegetable,
Right.
guaranteed you're not going to get what you need to run optimally.
Right.
Now, can your car run on 87 gas? Absolutely. Will it run better on 93? Absolutely. Does it cost more to run 93? Yes, it does. And people will sit there and be like, it's good enough. And when you live good enough for most of your life, you'll start seeing skin doesn't look as good. Skin's not as elastic as it was. You start getting more grays and more lines. And I'm not saying that if you take vitamins, you won't get gray hair and you won't get, wrinkles.
No, I think you just notice that it's happening a lot quicker.
Yeah, you'll age faster. And proper hydration, proper nutrition, proper balance. And the other part of this equation is that we're very supplement heavy.
Yeah.
And the idea of supplements, because the cost of eating right, typically the food prices go up.
Yep.
As soon as you start cutting out something that's garbage hamburgers, $1.99 a pound, the stuff that's a little bit lower fat, higher content, or better sourced,
Better sourced.
lower fat, higher protein content, it's more expensive.
Yes.
So you might go from $1.99 a pound to $4.99 a pound if you're
I was
buying
gonna say at least.
the 1 pound free range stuff, or
Exactly.
it gets crazy. But when we talk about adding supplements into the routine, the costs start to multiply.
Yep.
And it doesn't make sense until you're 30 to 60 days into the program.
Yes.
And why we're hoping so much that this 100 days is going to make sense, because typical programs are 6 weeks, 21 days, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, even 12 weeks.
Yep.
To go the 100 days, that's about when you're going to be like, I am on top of the world.
Yes. You're
And
going to feel amazing. And everybody around you, you're going to have two groups of people. You're going to have the people that are like, what in the world are you doing? I have never seen you look this
Yep.
way. Your attitude's amazing. You just, everything about you seems great. And then you have the exact opposite, which is, are you sick? What's wrong with you? So you've got those two pools of people.
Yep.
And I think by somebody saying, I'm committing to, oh, what are you doing? Well, I'm doing this 100-day challenge. They may shock a couple people into saying like, wow, you're going to stick with this. And it's like, yes, because I want to feel amazing.
there's nothing else out there that's 100 days.
No.
And when we first started doing, the first idea of a time cap on fitness was the P90X thing for me. And that was back when I just needed somebody to tell me what to do. And I loved that it was 90 days because nothing else in the industry was pushing something that long.
Yep.
It's like, wait a minute, 90 days. Wait a minute, it's an hour. Wait a minute. So it's longer and harder.
Yes.
And now it's going to last me for 12 weeks instead of just the traditional 6 weeks or the 4 weeks. That's around the time when Shortcut Abs was coming out.
Yeah.
And, it was everything
about that.
shorter, faster. And this program came out. So kind of our approach to the 100-day was, let's just go take a deeper cut, set a higher standard, and look for more. And that the expectations are going to be a little different coming out of this than they were the first one.
And I think another piece of it that's pretty cool is some people are saying, like, does this mean that I get to adjust my workouts? And, do I really have to put in the 60 days, 4, 5, or 6 times a week? And my response was, why would you want to take it out? Like, why would you want to do less than what you're doing now? Why wouldn't you want to do more or stick with your fitness routine? And now you're adding a nutrition piece where you're not going to believe what the results are going to be.
It's when you get into a good gym and a good program, it is a cult.
Yeah.
And when you first start off, whether it's your church, it's your religion, or it's your hobbies and the people that you hang out with, that initial conversation is, ooh, I can't go 5 days a week.
Right.
So I'm going to go 3. And then you've made the adjustments in your life, and 3 is not so bad. And you all of a sudden start to find budget for 2 more days, 2 more hours a week.
Yep.
Now you got your people going to the gym 5 days a week, and they're like, this is expensive. But then they're not eating out anymore. They're not spending money on alcohol. You and I can't go out and eat any less than $35, $40.
Yeah.
And that's not with tip.
Exactly.
So $35, $40 to go out and to eat 2 very modest, healthy meals.
Right.
There's nothing radical about it. You go out 2 or 3 times a month, the money's there.
Yes.
People just don't want to cook at home, or they say they don't have time.
Yep.
But when you get into budgeting, lifestyle budgeting, and we're going to talk a whole lot more this year about lifestyle than usual, because we're taking a different approach and we want to set some new standards and new expectations on what that means. But once you start getting accustomed and adjusted to giving of your time, giving of your resources, the payout for those things doesn't come right away. All of a sudden, it's just a pain in the ass.
Yep.
Going to the gym's a pain in the ass. I hate getting up early. I always go to bed late. I don't like picking my food out right. I can't stand prepping. I don't. But that person stands in front of the mirror and has that hard look, and they're like, I'm 40 years old and I look 52.
Yep.
Or the lady, because skin isn't, because the nutrition isn't balanced, the hydration's not there, there's too much alcohol in the diet, that the skin starts to look 10, 15 years older.
Exactly.
And this is a young person that just has had a great life, having fun and partying and everything else. And now when you're looking at yourself, you're like, what the hell did I do to myself? So we're kind of drifting all over with this New Year focus.
I think part of the focus for us had been watching one of our really good friends kind of take hold of his health. And it was like, you know what? I'm over 50 and I'm going to start cutting the things out in my life that I realize aren't good for me, and to watch what he has looked like and how he has transformed his body. I mean, his body looks great. There's something about him. You can tell that he's working differently. His energy is different. He's full of life, full of ideas, and he just looks,
He has a glow.
oh my gosh, he looks so good that I think that he has looked younger over this past year than he's looked in the past. I don't know. Oh my gosh, we've known him a while.
Yep.
But this last 2019, he took a hold of himself, and he's like, I'm going to start making these changes, and
I think
the payoff's sick.
There was something that scared the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And he hit a wall this past year. And funny thing, we'd been working and training with this dude for 6 years. He has seen the videos. He's heard the talks. He's been in the presentations. He's been on the peripheral the whole time. And all of a sudden he had said, it just clicked.
Yes.
It took years to get this guy to come do it on his own.
Yep.
And the perfect storm is when somebody that keeps hearing your story. This is why we keep revisiting stuff that's over and over and over.
Right.
And you and I were talking. It's like, man, I'm getting tired of just talking about the basics. And the reality is people need to hear the basics over and over. Since it took this guy 6 years.
Yes.
And now that it's triggered, he's a role model.
Yes.
For the first time in his adult life, his behaviors and his actions, everything lined up.
Yes.
And it clicked. And because we had planted the seeds, it didn't need us to keep that dude accountable.
Nope.
Hey, man, did you do your workouts? Hey, did you take your vitamins? Hey, did you do this? That's what we got to do in the beginning. Because the faith in what the industry tells you about doing these things and checking these boxes, the payoff's not there until you put time in. And it's almost like tithing. You've got to put in. If you're going to expect to be blessed, you've got to put in.
Yep.
If you're expecting to see results, it's not a 1-for-1. Hey, I worked out today. When do I start feeling better?
Right.
I've got a month in, dude. Where's the payout? Well, I would almost say it's like getting paid in the rears. You got to put in 60 days to start feeling good for a week.
Yeah.
It takes a long time.
Exactly. Well, it's like you work really hard and then the money goes in your bank account. So if you think about it, like getting paid that way, like in a very real, it's exactly the way that it works. So you're working, and you're hoping that at the end of those 2 weeks or the month that you're actually going to get paid.
You're building up that. I like that. You're like you're building up your fitness bank.
Exactly. Oh, that's fun.
And you're paid sub minimum wage.
Yes.
So every workout, it's only an hour a day. So let's say you get 4% of your wage right there.
Yep.
That's 1 hour of your day is 4%. So your fitness wage for that is crap. And then you eat one good healthy lunch, but a crappy breakfast. You skip your breakfast and you eat a garbage dinner. Well, now you lose a point. And if we were able to track that, you'd see
that'd
that
be fun.
You won't have enough money to buy this is lame. You won't have enough money to spend those fitness bucks on anything because how much you've invested is so little that it's like a knucklehead that's flipping burgers and wants to go out and buy a new Mercedes.
Yep.
You don't have the resources because you haven't saved up. Mm-hmm. I like that.
I think if I could have designed the perfect person to have a conversation with, it would be us now and not us 20 years ago. And it would be, here is your list.
Oh my gosh.
This is what you're going to do for the 100 days. And I know that you're an intelligent adult who's going to want to ask a bunch of questions. Why not this? Why can't I have this? Why is this on but not this? Mm-hmm. I'm going to physically die without my almond milk or whatever. Mm-hmm. And just when we look at them and just say, please trust us. Please trust the process. That they could just do it. It's us now. It's not us years ago.
I would have argued it too.
Yes.
And I would have gotten all science on your ass.
Exactly.
And I'd have been like, dude, you're going to have to tell me why this isn't approved.
Exactly. And I've been like, do you know it's a better option than the one you have on there?
Oh, because everyone's willing to die on the sword for the knowledge. But the idea is to get with somebody in the profession that can show you a fast track.
Yes.
And it's 100% put on your blinders and just walk. If there's a cliff, I'll stop you.
Exactly.
But until then, you just got to keep going.
Yep. And the cool thing is, I think with this 100 days is it's 100 days. So if you really can stick with it, there's no party on the 101st day. It's kind of like you're just continuing with what you're doing because it's truly a habit at that point.
If you can come out of this in 100 days and hitting all the milestones of this program, you'll never go back.
Exactly.
You'll never have to worry about weight again. Unless you end up,
Well,
bedridden.
no, exactly. And any statement that we make certainly isn't that it doesn't take into if you develop something medically that
It's not bulletproof.
that food's not going to fix. It's just if you are a healthy individual who gets no diagnosis of anything that causes a weight gain or a weight loss,
Yeah.
you're on a good plan.
It's brilliant. Well, just one more thing about the food list. When they push back, the funny thing, if you looked up what alcohol does to your body,
Yes,
I mean, it's poison.
absolutely.
I love it. But
Yes.
if no one argues about drinking, it's one of
or
my
the
favorite
calories.
things. People argue about, hey, isn't this too much protein? I thought protein was bad for you, but one bottle of wine is a week's worth of carbs packed in there.
Yeah.
And no one argues too many carbs. They only argue too much protein. And nobody argues, almond milk when they're cool to drink gallons of alcohol a month. It's all in how we assign value to things
Yes.
and what we'll defend and what we'll push away.
Absolutely. I know.
So, but the food list heading into 2020, because this is a new program, we're super excited because if our goal every year is always to try to find ways to impact our community. And we have tried everything.
Yep.
And again, because psychology is tied so tightly to this, it's not about working out for 100 days. That won't get you anywhere, but to day 101. Whereas if you can do this entire project for 100 days, it will add years to your life.
Yep.
And it's difficult to quantify.
I agree.
But heading into 2020, I hope, those of you that are listening that are doing it, find reasons to do it instead of looking for reasons not to.
Yep.
And stop with the bridal showers, bachelor parties, birthday parties. Those are all side projects right now. They happen later. We'll see who's up to it. Now we mentioned expectations, and this is interesting when we talk about the expectations of people, because you had just said it. Following a meal plan doesn't 100% mean you're going to be out of jail for the rest of your life.
Not.
There's
You're silly if you think that it does.
there's ins and outs to everything, and expectations. We've had some people come at us with very legal terminology. I'm going to lose my 25 pounds if I follow your plan, right?
Right.
Because they're looking for something that's got teeth and that it's objective and that it's measurable, and life just doesn't always work that way.
Right.
So expectations with fitness, and it goes as far as how you handle expectations in life.
Right.
And you have to understand that there's limitless variables always in play that you can never account for. And with personal relationships, we'll start there. And if you can manage your personal relationship expectations, your friends and your family and your coworkers and all that stuff, the one of the coolest things I ever heard a pastor say, and it was years ago, was, how did he phrase it? It was talking about being selfish. And it was, if your spouse doesn't understand exactly what you mean, how can you expect them to make you happy? Because we kind of work in this gray area where it's like, well, she's my wife. She's going to know that, dinner on the table is important to me. I shouldn't have to say it.
Right.
And when you don't do it, I get pissed off and there's an argument and things go sideways and it damages the relationship.
Right.
One time, not so big. If you're in a healthy relationship, you could talk about what went down.
Yes.
If you're in an unhealthy relationship, that happens 100 times. And every time the dude comes home and he's a bear because there's no dinner on the table, and the wife doesn't understand, the house is spick and span clean. And she's like, he's always unhappy when he comes home. I'm trying to keep a good home. And I just don't understand why he's always pissed.
Yep.
The expectations weren't met.
Yes.
And you had some thoughts on this that I wanted to roll into this, and we'll kind of marry it up to the fitness piece.
Yeah. So the other day, was it even this week? I don't know. We had I think I went over to the couch that's on the main level in our house, and I'd fixed pillows. And you had said, hey, I just did that. And I made some comment about, yeah, but, I like them a certain way, which led them into that. You and we've been together a long time. And I think that throughout our journey, we learn better and better how to kind of deal with each other's, we'll call it funny qualities. So you had said, when you go around and you fix something that I did, it kind of makes me feel like, I'm a young kid again and I'm getting scolded by like my mom or something.
For me.
For you. And I said to you, the couch pillows are not, they are not as
We're talking about couch pillows right now,
no,
everybody.
seriously. Yeah. But I was like, having the couch pillows look a certain way are not high on your priority list. So when they're nicely put back in the way that I like them, it makes me have a better day, but I don't feel like I should put that on you to say that what you did wasn't good enough. So I'll go back and fix them thinking that it would never bother you versus saying, hey, B, do you mind that when you put them down, this one's in front of this one and the zipper's facing this way? And because I don't feel like in a relationship that if something isn't important to you that's very silly in the scheme of life, that you should have to do it the way I want it.
There's a line. There's a line, and you said use the word. You said deal with, and I think a friendlier way is to say cope, or
Yes.
because we all bring our neurotic things to a relationship,
Yes.
and the stuff we're talking about is graduate level. What do I want to say? You should always be learning about your partner,
Oh, yes.
your person. You're always learning.
Yep.
If you stop learning, you're a lazy AF, or you don't care.
Well, and you're in trouble.
And you're in trouble. But because we change anyway, as you get older, we change. Our priorities change. Our focus changes. What's important, what isn't important, where we got to spend our time. It's already a moving target when you start a relationship with somebody. But then as you spend time together, what you might have wanted when we first got married versus what you want now could be different. So
Yeah, definitely.
you don't learn and you're set. You've got to learn and just be fluid with it.
Yes.
And part of this conversation, I don't believe in predefined roles in the house. I've never thought that because I grew up in a family where everybody pitched in and did
Absolutely.
everything. Mom and dad both worked. We all had to clean. We all had to do these things. So I didn't see my mother doing mom duties and my dad doing dad duties. They both crushed it for work. We all did our part. We did our role. So what I bring to the table, and based on my upbringing and my early adulthood and where I think I am a benefit, you have to look at your relationship like, am I a benefit to my relationship? Right. Just because you're in it doesn't mean that the job is done. It means you accepted a higher level position and now you've got to perform at a higher level, right?
You're the CEO of the house.
That's right. Of your life. And if you think you could just take a job and never have to be better, you're stupid. So part of the details, and I grew up with the upbringing of, if you're going to do it right, if you're going to do it right.
Right.
Or don't do it at all. So when I'm running around scatterbrained, humping it, busy, I do big, broad things. I don't pay attention to those OCD qualities that you've got. The zipper pointing to the west. There's just weird things that's like, I would never even think of that. So I've still I've had to learn to not take it personally that I'm not doing it to your standard.
Right.
And that's where we were having the conversation about expectations. Because you have a higher expectation, you have recognized on your side, it's silly to ask that of me.
Better believe it.
But the consequence of that is, Brian, you're going to have to get used to just me coming behind you sometimes and doing shit twice. And the worst thing is that you get old and you can't take care of yourself, and then you've got to lean on your person to help you as you age.
Right.
That's not good. I mean, that's not something that I'm looking forward to, that I think anyone does, is to not be independent and self-sustaining anymore. So the last thing I want is at my age now to feel like I'm not self-sustaining and I'm not independent.
Right.
It's like putting your shirt on backwards or forgetting to put on your underwear for the day. I mean, there's some breakdown as you age that you don't want to look forward to. But you were able to articulate at the level our relationship has gotten to, hey, I really appreciate the effort.
Yes.
And I love that you tried to make this work.
Yes.
Don't get upset when I come behind if it's not just perfect. So I've had to learn just look away.
Yep.
I mean, I still can't tell that 1/3 of a pillow in the house has a stripe in a position that's not on the bottom third. And I still can't figure out that there's an upside and a downside to a big pillow.
But honestly, because you don't care. Because in the scheme of life, if the zombie attack comes, our house isn't going to be skipped because the pillows are a certain way. But the zombies might be like, damn, look at her pillows. They look really good.
I would have attacked this house, but those pillows are tight. They're straight. So the issue ends up being, what's funny, because I'm more detail oriented in fitness.
Oh my gosh, you run circles around me.
Well, it's not a knowledge gap. It's my level of OCD. when it comes to human movement,
Yes.
where I'll sit there and I will pick things apart
Yes.
at the very, smallest level
Yes.
to try to find opportunities to be more efficient, better,
Yes.
whatever. And you're
And
like, it's good enough
exactly.
in some ways.
No, and it's important clarification there. You will take a tweak that will take somebody to like the 525th percentile on what they're doing. So they're amazing. And I do more of a sweep of okay, awesome. Range of motion is good. They're not going to get hurt. Ooh, let's play with a little bit of weight. You have these tweaks that I would say they're not needed in like a general fitness, but they are amazing to take it to the next level that people don't even realize they have.
It still haunts me.
Yes.
So I don't look for, and this is the only thing that I can think of as kind of a similarity, because it's the equivalent of you not having the pillows upright or any trainer. So
Right.
if I see something where it's like, do they not see that the stripes are pointing the wrong way?
Right.
And everyone else is like,
Exactly.
hey, look at me, I made the bed. And it's like, no, you made it wrong. So
Exactly.
I get into that kind of neurotic, but I don't think I'm capable of putting that level of focus into everything I do.
No, but it is fascinating. Like I've seen fitness as a perfect example because I have seen you, go over and say to somebody, can I adjust like your foot? And you'll take shoelaces that were maybe 3/4 of the way out and you bring them in 1/4 of the way and it changed everything for them. And it's like, I don't think that your standards are very, very high in everything that you do, but I don't think
It's tiring.
But you would not, the same way I'm not going to be like, I cannot believe that's how you made the bed. What were you thinking? You're never going to say to me, I can't believe you didn't notice that one of their shoelaces was pointed different than the other one. You know what I mean?
And you know what's funny? I enjoy that I see those details,
And
and you enjoy that
same
you
way.
see your details.
Yes.
So when you're talking about expectations then, and if you're in a relationship with somebody, and it's one of the coolest conversations you can have. Don't force it. It's going to be unnatural. I mean, don't just make a list of shit and be like, what should I do here? I mean, because you got to learn. The learning process is observation, and you learn what makes your person happy, and you learn
Yes.
how to keep a balance because you bring things to the table that I do not.
Absolutely.
And vice versa,
Yes.
and that it's a complementary relationship.
Yes.
It's not supposed to be one where, all right, Jen, I need you to clean the house, and I need you to do these things, and if it's not straight, there's going to be hell to pay.
Absolutely.
So when you're talking to somebody and you find those opportunities, if something's not being met, frame it or approach it by, can I ask for a favor, or
Yes.
would you mind if I went and I did something this way?
Yep.
It's like, hey, you came home with groceries, but I really would love if you just give me a call before you went,
Yes.
just to double check and see if that's just it's a small thing of an expectation.
Exactly.
You got to get up in the middle of the night for the dog. The dog wants to go out in the middle of the night. Can we set the expectation that on Mondays and Fridays you do it?
Yep.
And Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll do it.
Absolutely.
And that way, and there's not that moment in the middle of the night where we're both kind of trying to ignore that the dog needs to go out and we're just going to see who hops out.
Exactly.
Or if it's the baby's crying,
Yep.
it's, I got to get up in the morning, I got to work, so I'm not going to do it. Set an expectation. All right, before you go to
Yes.
bed, who's on deck for tonight?
Yes.
And what's the thing?
I think that it just really helps. And I think one of my favorite examples of this is going to be, we have extremely good friends of ours, and she absolutely hates cardboard in her refrigerator. She hates its guts. And I bet you if we ever said, you're crazy about this, she's going to be like, I'm crazy about it. But her husband will not put cardboard in the refrigerator. Does he care? I bet you he doesn't give a quarter of a poop about putting it in there or not.
You call the shit poop.
But he knows,
That's what makes her happy.
if he unloads, she is going to go in that fridge and she's going to check for cardboard because it's her. And if she opens it and there isn't, that's a win.
Everybody's crazy.
We're all crazy, but it's those little things. If you just pay attention to the people that you love, and it's just those little things. Guess what I'll never do? I'll never walk in her house and put cardboard in her fridge.
Yeah.
Because I know that even though it doesn't mess anything up, it doesn't do anything, I'm in her home. It's the way she likes it. I'm going to respect it. It's the people that one of my favorite things people do is they walk into our house and they say, do you wear shoes in your house or do you not? The likelihood that you and I have never run through our house in shoes is slim to none. But it's like, hey, what's your standard in your house?
Yeah, it's funny.
I love it.
Not many people ask. A lot of times you got to say, this is my
Exactly.
expectation for your visit while you're here.
Exactly. But I think that if you're clear about your expectations and you are reasonable in that, if the people around you, if it's not something that they care about, meet in the middle when you can and die on the sword for the things you can't.
That's probably one of the coolest things as we get older. There's certain things that just aren't worth, because when you get into that kind of dialogue about cardboard in the fridge or cardboard not,
Yes.
it comes down into one person trying to either justify their position or the other person saying why the other person's wrong.
Right.
And it's no healthy relationship needs to have that conversation.
No.
You bring quirky, weird, goofy shit to a relationship.
Yes.
So do I. So does the other person.
Exactly.
And in those things, you have the opportunity to make somebody happy
Yes.
by just understanding what their quirky and weirdness is.
Exactly.
Never something's going to come out during dating.
Oh, gosh,
It's not going to come out in the first 5 years of marriage.
No.
But keep in mind, that cardboard fetish, that thing,
Yes.
probably was always there.
Yes.
And it was, let's say it could have been 10 years before someone finally said, can you please stop putting cardboard in the refrigerator?
Exactly. One of the funny things too that I have to have everything like pair of pants all hanging the same direction because I like the way they lay. You couldn't possibly care less. So I'll go in your closet and I'll fix all your jeans if you hang them.
Dude, don't fix my jeans.
But it's one of those things like
Drive me crazy.
But it brings joy to my heart that I look over and I'm like, you think you don't like it, but the fact that you know to look for your tag in the same spot everywhere, I'm like, when it doesn't negatively impact your life that I do it and it doesn't negatively impact mine, it makes me smile.
Do you know the other side of that?
Huh.
Because not only do I not notice enough to do it myself,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I don't even notice when you do it, which means now that something you have done for me has gone overlooked because I don't notice those
But
details.
honestly, honey, you don't care.
I don't care. But how much of an asshole sits there and like, did you notice your meal was hot? Well, yeah, it should be hot. You know, it's like, did you notice what I did in the closet? Yeah, it should be that way. I mean, that's where you start getting into, I would rather a list of things I did for you today that you didn't know about. Oh my God. You want to talk about humbling somebody?
Oh my gosh, let's use our small whiteboard for it.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
My list is going to be really long.
Mine's going to be very short. Because I think it's just like, I put shit away good. Look at it. And it's not even me doing it. You're coming behind me and making it look good. That's great. I thought I was only failing at pillows. No, that's closet shit too. Sweet.
But I think going back to it, it's just to expect somebody to do something or to have somebody believe that their standards are the same. And that's in every area of your life. There are certain things that I believe that you should die on the sword for. I mean, I really do. And there's certain things that not. I also believe in tolerating a conversation or opinion. I don't believe that you should have to tolerate everything in life. I mean, we live in a neighborhood where there are plenty of people that don't pick up their dog's crap. We've picked up, you know what, when you pick up 5 pounds of dog crap in your own yard and you have your biggest dog weighs 20 pounds, we know it didn't come out of ours.
Right.
So I don't think that you should become tolerant of that. I like your approach to life has changed somewhat over the past couple months where you have been like maybe somebody had an emergency so yes, in life, there are always going to be, excuse the French, assholes, but not everybody's one. So if somebody happens to notice that their toddler may have crawled out of the frickin' crib, come downstairs, they're standing in the front yard, their dog just took a poop in there and they're afraid their kid's going to get hit by a car, leave the poop in the yard. Hopefully you remember to go back and get it. But if you don't, you know what? You get a pass. If you think you're too good to do it, shame
That's
on
where
you.
the problem is. The expectation drill can work on just your fellow man and woman as well.
Absolutely.
There's somebody was venting about a parking job, and this is where the conversation started. People that look for reasons to get fired up because you are a person that walks around with the expectation of the world.
Yes.
This is how the world should be.
Yes.
You know, and this is why people can't talk politics anymore, and
No.
they won't tolerate people that don't conform to their beliefs.
versus just tolerating they have an opinion.
And people think this is boiling down to race, and it's not. It's intolerance. It's because you are an intolerant asshole in general. Just in life. I don't like the way you drive. I don't like the way you park. I don't like the way you tuck in your shirt.
Yes.
Because there's somebody out there that has felt the need to take their beliefs, those micro behaviors, those crazy little nuances that make you you, and they have taken the very selfish route of saying, if you're not like that,
Right.
we're going to have words.
Yes.
I don't like that you put your trash can out too early at night. I don't like that your trash blew out of your thing.
Yeah.
You parked sloppy. You drive too fast. You drive too slow.
Yep.
I don't like the way you pass.
Yes.
You're nobody.
Well,
you are
it's-
not that special, dude.
No, and the parking thing was like, if you can't drive a big truck, then you shouldn't drive a big truck. And you actually responded to it that maybe they had like diarrhea or something.
They had to poop. So they just jammed it in park and they ran inside.
Once again, we said poop.
They called it poop.
But I think, and again, like circling back, so you can look at it in every area of your life. And, you know, our life is fitness and nutrition. So if you circle back to what your expectations on the 100-day challenge should be, your expectations and your standards might be different than mine. And if I am not, being that we are married and love each other, if my standards aren't set to yours, but they aren't going to harm me, and I'm not going to say things like, I can't believe you didn't hold me to this. If I take on my own and I say to you, you know what, and this is not who I am in 100%, but if I said to you, you know what, honey, I'm going to be 90% all in. If you're 110, you can't expect me to be 110 because you are. At the same time, like I said, I can't say to you,
It's too much.
you should have been tougher on me. You should have held the line for me because I have already made my declaration of the level of importance this is. It's the same thing on the other way. For those of you doing the 100-day challenge, if your spouse is not doing it because they're not a member, they have no interest in even cleaning up their diet, then you need to let them know to bring things in to work against you. That's not right. But you aren't expecting them
To change their
to
behaviors.
change their behaviors. Just don't. If your favorite cookie is a chocolate chip and his favorite is a peanut butter, please just bring the peanut butter in. Not asking you to change your lifestyle, asking for support as you should as a spouse. But don't do things that are going to work against me. Know that I'm not going to sub your cookie for kale.
Don't bring your favorite beer into the house. Don't bring your favorite
Exactly.
snack food into the house. Okay.
Exactly.
To take this, I talked about it with politics, but this is where, because of, I think, the digital age and the speed of communication, people don't take the time to learn anymore.
Correct.
And when it's spouses or partners or even heavy dating couples, if you're not going to take a moment and slow down and investigate your person,
Yep.
I mean, it's always a project and there's
Yes.
always a new chapter being written.
Better believe it.
And if you are too busy to take the time to learn the details,
Yep.
then you're not living a very fulfilled life.
Yes.
You're pretty much running around saying, as long as the world makes me happy, everything's going to be great.
Right.
And as soon as someone rocks the boat, I will lash out with fury and anger, you know, because my expectations aren't being met.
Right.
So have a second. We're pushing part of the 100-day program. The project is some meditation every day.
Right.
If you want to get into the Bible, get into the Bible. If you want to listen to freaking ocean songs, you listen to ocean songs or sounds. But the idea is you take 20 minutes and calm your mind and start doing some thinking, some internal belief alignment, and just figuring out what's important to you, where do you need to go, what do you need to do. And when you start boiling it down, we think with the people we interact with that everyone's here to make me happy.
Right.
Everyone thinks that way because the country is selfish AF right now.
Oh my gosh.
Everyone's a bastard. And if you sat there and say, how can I make them happy? It only works if it's reciprocated. Otherwise, you end up in a very lopsided relationship.
Yeah.
But we've talked about this on another show where if you're living for the other person, you should want to know those things about how do you like the pillows? Oh, that or you just watch.
Exactly.
Watch. And you've got to, the funny thing is, it can be an everyday movement that you're not even paying attention to. It's like
Yes.
emptying the dishwasher. You're like, I see that person emptying the dishwasher. I know they do it.
Yes.
But do you know that they stack the forks perfectly on top of each other so that they don't rattle around in the
now
drawer?
You're picking on me.
I'm not rattling. This is what I had to learn. I had to watch it happen.
I
And
sound like I'm neurotic. I am.
you got a little crazy and I got a little crazy. But there was one time you get behind me. I emptied the dishwasher and I patted myself on the back like a champ. I was like, she's going to come home. She didn't have to do the dishwasher today. And you open up the damn silverware drawer and you start adjusting shit. I was like, what the hell are you doing? You're like, you didn't do it right. I was like, what? For that moment, I was like, I'll be damned if I'm putting the dishwasher away wrong the rest of my life. I need you to show me what you want.
And you have since
Now
done
I do
it perfectly.
Now I do it. And I don't give a shit.
But you know,
But I
then
did it.
there's also those little things that like, it's okay to say thank you. So something that you do and you have done since when we first got together and we had other pets, anytime the weather is super nasty, you leash them up and you take them out.
I take it in the shorts.
But you always do it. And I know that when you shut the front door, you're like, God, I really wish you would have offered this one time to take them out. But
I took it. Yep.
But we have learned. So today, overcast, kind of ugly. I know. So typically you do the first walk of the day because it's the coldest, most miserable. I take the second shift. I know that 9 times out of 10 or 9.5 times out of 10, if it starts raining again, you're going to be like, I got the next walk. And it's just those little things. You don't think I'm some little princess that's going to melt in the rain. And guess what? Neither do I. But it's those little things. But you better believe when you come back from that walk, whatever else was on the list, I will be working on something else.
That's how it's supposed to
And
work.
it's just, we have never had to make that declaration. There are certain things in our business. We have never had to make a declaration. You will do this. I will do that. I'm like, uh-oh, B's picking up some of my slack on that. Let me go ahead and do this.
I think that management style is called chaos theory.
We are definitely chaos.
Yeah.
But I think that if you just pay attention to some things and you've got these kind of standards, I think you would be surprised that other people may just pick up and do what you were doing. And the next time you go to open that silverware drawer and you're like, wait a minute. Oh my gosh, he noticed enough that this is the way that I do it. And again, zombie apocalypse, it's never going to matter. But it's one of those things where I paid attention, I'm going to fix it, and that's the way it is.
It's a hidden Easter egg. If you observe and then do it, that's dope. Most of us, we got to ask.
Yes.
You know, what am I doing wrong here, or what would you like, or how would you prefer?
Yes.
I mean, and those types of things, you can live such a what's the word? Spoiled life.
Yeah.
Because if you go to a hotel, I know that if we stay at a Marriott, the rooms are always going to look the same.
I love it.
And my expectations are always met.
Yes.
Same with
That's
Avis.
it.
You know, I rent cars from a certain place because it's always the same. It's
Yes.
predictable. And I have learned to be able to get excited about my expectations when I come into these places that master
Yes.
expectations. And you go into a setting like that and you're like, you feel special because things are the way that you want them.
Yep.
And you get to be selfish in that moment because somebody else created the environment for you.
Yeah.
But if you are in a relationship where you're constantly doing that with somebody else, you're always living a spoiled life.
Yes.
And it's always like you're in a 5-star environment. You're like, that's exactly the way I like it. And you just had to walk into it.
Yes.
And then there's other things like, I didn't pick the smell of the soap, but there it is, and I like it, and I wouldn't have thought about it before that.
Exactly.
But that's just an extra benefit of the experience.
Exactly. And like I said, die on the sword for the things that are super important. But before you address something with anybody, make sure it's actually important. Like I warned you I don't remember when it was. I said, when you go into the storage room in the basement, you may actually kill me. And you said, oh my gosh, what did you do? And I was like, to be honest, I destroyed it. And I said, I pulled stuff out for Christmas and
I didn't put it back.
Physically couldn't move some of the things out of the way to get them back the way you like it. Well, ladies and gents, I went in the basement the other day to get meat out of the freezer. That room is perfect again. You never told me you did it. So I walked in the basement expecting to open the door and cringe. And it's completely organized. But you never told me you did it. It's just one of those things that's like, yes, you know I like the house to be organized to a ridiculous degree, but I am not, my standards are not going to be put on you. angle your picture that way, put all your pens away, unclick everything.
I actually like that my craziness drives you crazy sometimes.
Exactly. But at the same time, like our working spaces are so comically different. But at the same time, if I go and I straighten yours up, as long as you know you can find everything, or I file and scan and everything, you're not annoyed I did it. You're like, she organized me, and it makes me happy that it looks nice. Die on the sword for what matters.
Like, we're talking long. The only thing I only remember one or two things where you died on the sword, and one of them was smoking cigars in the house.
That was the greatest. That could be a whole podcast on its own.
But it's the basement. Yeah.
That was that was probably the only time that you ever did anything in all of our years together where I was like, I'm actually going to kill him. I walk in, I'm like, does my house smell like cigars?
Hell yeah, we're in the basement. That's like, free zone.
No, I'm like, B wouldn't do that. No, oh no, B and all his friends would. I just remember going, honey, can you come upstairs for a minute? And I just heard all the chuckling start.
My ass puckered. I knew I was in trouble. All right, so circle back. The program should be whatever program you do in New Year's. Hopefully, you're doing the 100-day with us. But if you're doing something, it should push the boundaries.
Definitely.
Trust the system, put it in place, but you've got to follow it adamantly.
Yes.
And don't question it. There's faith in the system. That's the only way it's going to work. That's everything in life.
Absolutely.
And then your expectations. If you are going to go half effort on your program, trainer, Mr. Trainer Man, I just want to let you know not to have too high of expectations because I will not be giving up alcohol. Set the expectations. Don't put it on somebody else to figure out why you're failing.
Yep.
And then go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just be honest with the expectations so that when you come to the end of whatever your challenge is and somebody's results are better, you can say, oh, well, I know why they were. You put in all of the time, all of the work, you did everything that was said, and I half-assed it. Just be honest.
Which is dope.
Yep.
Because one, you get that person a pass, and instead of them wondering why they suck.
Exactly.
You suck.
Absolutely.
You suck as much as you want to suck. It's up to you. I don't care how much you want to suck. You want to suck. And then have some conversations or look for ways to study your person. And if you are unhappy about something in your relationship, just have and it can't be an accusatory talk.
No.
Accusatory. It can't be, hey, I would really prefer you did something different.
No. Oh, Lord.
You got to find a way to sweet talk that. And it's different for every couple and every person. For a while, see if they just observe.
Yes.
If they don't observe, then just give them a heads up. Just say, hey, can you please, I'll hook up all the breakfasts and lunches if you'll do dinner.
Yes.
It's just, and my expectation is, in my mind, I think I've got 2 meals under my belt for the day. Can you do one?
Yes.
But if you have that conversation, you'll never disappoint.
No.
And you'll be living that 5-star life.
Amen.
All right, sweet. All right, so we got more good stuff coming in the next show. Thanks for jumping in on our first 2020.
Yeah.
All right, groovy guys.
you.
Share, comment. Thanks for the questions and the feedback that comes in. The ratings are always approved, but if it's constructive, I can actually do something with it.
Definitely.
Yay, 5 stars, but if there's something that we can do better, I may do a better person. So
yes, you are.
all right, so thanks for sharing, guys, and thanks for listening.
All right, y'all.
Happy 2020.
Happy